Yeah, I do see it.
Now, we're recording now.
Oh, okay, good recording. Stuart, good morning, friend.
Good morning, David. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I used your formal name, Stuart.
That's
Sounds very intelligent, which is really interesting because for those that know you,
they know
there's
that
just
I'm
some irony.
incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's exactly what I was thinking. So this morning, episode 6, we're going to...
Is it 6? Are we on 6?
Are we going to do this every time? Every time we're going to do this. Episode 6. We were going to have this be our first episode with a guest, but it turns out that, and our guest was going to be was going to be our very first investor, first person that put trust into you and me and into Storehouse and the idea. It was our first lender.
He was our first investor. Yeah.
Yeah. He was our first investor. But I don't want to ruin that story, but he also happens to be a doctor. And as you can imagine, he is extremely busy for the last, month or so, and is only getting more so as we move forward with the COVID-19 and everything going on. So what we thought we'd do this time was talk about, Stu and I always talking about mindset, and we love mindset, but really mindset is only a kind of a nebulous concept until you have the opportunity to put it into action and you really see where the choices that you make and the mindset and the attitudes that you choose are really come out to play and come to bear in a situation like we're in currently, which is, when we're in a state of crisis and when things get challenging. So I thought we'd talk about mindset and just kind of our mindset, our thoughts on mindset, the choices that we make, how that relates to time spent and where time is spent, and then ultimately into the actions that we take. So that's a quick rundown of the agenda today. And Stewie.
So actually, it like literally just came to my mind. I think the Lord is speaking to me here, but we talked about like our first investor being a doctor and how he couldn't come on with us because he's serving a much bigger purpose right now. And I think we should just first kind of talk about that a little bit. Us as military guys, and we're always talking about first responders, and for me at least, the doctors for the most part, unless they're like military doctors or EMTs or something like that, they're not really thought about as first responders. But I don't know. Maybe we should like say a prayer and just like thank the Lord for all these doctors that are out there right now on the front lines, really putting themselves in harm's way right now as, all these people are coming into emergency rooms and, they're taking this chance and risking their lives of getting sick, but they're pushing forward. And I guess we can say Garrett, who is going to be our guest, is like out there every single day, taking in patients and helping them to get better. So you're much better at praying than I am. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Hey man, I'm happy to. I love the idea, and I appreciate you. Even thinking about that as anybody who knows us and knows this business, prayer and our faith and Jesus is first and foremost and the forefront of everything that we do. So love it. I love the idea that I gave to you to open with a prayer, because of course, like any good officer, you got to take credit for all the good ideas. So yeah, let me quickly just say a quick prayer for all of our folks. So dear Lord, I just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to just have a platform, and I pray that you bless this podcast, and I pray that folks listening are blessed by the content. Lord, I also want to lift up our doctors and our medical workers and the folks that are truly on the front line of this battle. We understand what it means to be in a war, and these folks are definitely in a war. You just have to read the headlines, and we know that what the danger that they're willingly putting their lives in to help others. Lord, and Garrett is just one of those awesome men amongst men and women who are risking their lives on a daily basis to help us to combat this virus. And Lord, I just pray your blessing on him specifically and his team and all those like him around the country. I just thank you for your grace. And I pray that in these times of difficulty that you please just help us to really unlock the blessing there within as well. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. That was good, man. Thank you, Garrett. If you ever watch this or listen to it, love you, brother. Thank
You
you for
better
what you're
watch
doing.
it, Garrett, one of our 18 people watching right now. So
18? You
yeah.
think we have 18 watchers
Hey
or
man,
listeners?
it's growing. It's growing. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter yet. But no, I appreciate it, Stu. It's awesome point. And Garrett, thinking about you, buddy. Love you. What's really interesting, probably 2 weeks ago or whenever before this kicked off, I had hit up Garrett to set up. We were going to do it last Sunday, I believe, to set up the actual scheduling of the interview with him. And he's like, man, I've been crushed. And I asked him at that point, I was like, hey, is this, how serious is this? Is this a serious thing? And he kind of gave me some insights from a medical perspective. And, I also just appealed to everybody out there just to be socially responsible and just help these guys. For a lot of us, younger folks, the threat's not, it's not something that we see as necessarily as an existential threat to us. But, one of the things he was highlighting to me is that people in our age bracket are going to be hospitalized, and the vast majority of them will recover, but they're taking a bed, right? They're taking a spot, and and that's a spot that somebody else who potentially is not going to make it will take. And so not to be too morbid or not to live in a life of faith and knowing that things are going to come through, but to also be pragmatic and recognize that we have responsibilities during these times, and our faith supports that. To be responsible and to be thinking of others in this time. So I think that's all very important stuff.
And that goes right into kind of one of our bullet points that we were going to hit on is, so our thought was talk about mindset today and how important your mindset is in your success and really managing times like this, times where there's uncertainty and times where there's fear, and one of the bullet points that we talked about, I'm going to hit this one first, David, is faith versus fear. We see a lot of cases right now of people being fearful and acting on that fear instead of putting their faith in a higher power in the Lord, knowing that that He's going to come through and He is the decision maker in all of this. Putting that faith in that and not living in a living out of fear and taking action on that fear.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. There's going to be a lot of people that listen that potentially don't share our faith, and that's great. That's awesome. I hope that we can influence for the positive things that are most important to us, and while recognizing that not everybody's going to have the same claim to faith. And when I say it's awesome, we don't discriminate, we don't judge. I just consider them Christians in waiting. But I do think that there's also with the faith versus fear mindset. It's not just that you believe that that things are going to get better and that the Lord's going to work His will through even these times. It also drives action, and for the faithful, we not only have this spiritual belief, but I'm also driven, and you're also driven by the actions that our faith mandates during these times, and how it forces us to look outside and to know that we can make a difference, right? So the mindset, while there's comfort in our faith, there's also comfort in taking action to live out our faith. And it brings to mind James is one of the most, for me, one of the most challenging books of the Bible, because it's all about, faith without works is dead. And a lot of times we as Christians forget stuff like that, right? We think about the faith part, but we don't think about the action part. And I think the faith versus fear mindset ties directly into the abundance versus the scarcity mindset as well, and the actions that are driven, by really maintaining those mindsets and by cultivating those mindsets. And really, when you start thinking in the abundance mindset and the faith mindset, like you're compelled to action. You know what I mean? You and I yesterday, and you can share just kind of the conversation we had yesterday, but we are compelled to act in these situations and to do, not to sit on the sidelines.
Yeah. And, before this call, we were kind of talking about our notes. There's, social media, everyone's on it, and you'll see stuff that's happening. And I try not to watch the news because it's just completely negative. And, but I am active on some of our social media channels. And all of you should be following Storehouse social media, because it's all positive all the time. But no, like, so scarcity versus abundance, like if you see like what people are doing right now in these times, and acting out of faith or acting out of fear, like, why are all of our grocery stores completely empty, with like food and toilet paper and paper towels, and like, people are acting completely out of fear right now. And so why are people like hoarding toilet paper? People are acting out of fear and out of a scarcity mindset right now. And then I see also like people that are like, man, they're doing some cool stuff right now. They're like, my wife, she was watching, she walked downstairs and she was listening to some music. I was like, what is that? And it sounded like it was live music. And she's like, oh, one of my high school friends, that I've stayed in touch with, he decided to do a Facebook Live concert. He's basically just sitting in his living room playing the guitar and trying to raise money for all the musicians that have that are out of work right now because of the coronavirus. And he's just literally like just playing live music on his guitar, just him solo, and has a Venmo account set up for people to like give money to help, support local musicians. It's like, man, that's really cool. Like, this guy's like taking action. And then I saw someone else post that, hey, they're committing to buying from local restaurants, like doing like takeout basically every single night, for 2 weeks, to support local businesses, to support those restaurants that typically, thrive off of people coming into their restaurant and having a meal, but they can't do that right now. So they've committed to picking local restaurants every single night and taking out food. So like, you see that difference of mindset of scarcity versus abundance and faith versus fear. And, where do you sit on it? Like, so David and I have been really like kind of putting our minds together of how we're going to take action, what Storehouse can do, to take action and get involved and like help in some form or fashion within our industry. And we've had some ideas come up, but I think it'd be good, David. What do you think? Just to like ask our network. Like, we would love to see some ideas. You can send us an email, or we're going to post this out on social media, on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and so hey, comment, like give us some ideas. I mean, we're in the real estate industry. We have our investors, landlords who own property. There's probably going to be some tenants that have lost their jobs. Probably going to be some tenants that aren't going to be able to make that rent payment come April 1st. Hopefully our investors have some cash saved up to where they are going to be able to make their mortgage payments, but who knows? I mean, but would love to hear some ideas, see some ideas on thoughts on Storehouse taking action, and we've come up with some ideas, and maybe we can share those a little bit later.
Yeah, and I think maybe you and I could do like a singing thing, like where we like get on, do like live singing, potentially some Disney tunes, maybe.
Well, I mean, I've already been singing.
A little bit of hip hop.
I was already singing Frozen on there. I mean,
yeah, we should choose something. We should choose something different from from that.
Dude,
Because I
like
don't.
we've gotten like probably 13 watches on that episode alone. I mean,
Oh,
it's been a huge success.
you think because of
Because
the
of my
singing?
singing. Yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe we should just have me go on and sing
Yeah,
Frozen
we might
Disney
actually
tunes.
lose money on that, which would be really interesting during this entire effort. We lost money because you sang. Would be awesome. But hey, we'll check it out. Yeah, let's look more into that. But one thing I want to share, and I alluded to earlier. So yesterday I was out with the kids, and this kind of jumps into the time, like we're spending time. So a couple of this isn't all negative, and I'm sure it's not all negative for everybody. Even if you're facing some type of struggle, whether it's financial or whatever this situation may be caused um, by the virus, but the I've had more time to be outside with the kids in the backyard, just run around playing and just spending a ton of time with the kids. And yesterday I was chopping some wood and started a fire out in the back, and we're me and the boys were just doing boy stuff and destructive. And I'm like, I was had to take a couple phone calls for work, and in the middle of the phone call, I'm like, hey, you don't swing the shovel at your brother. You put the hammer down. The people that are listening, like, what in the
That's like
world?
every phone call.
It is. But
As soon as you get on the phone,
people
you're
that
too
aren't used to it though, right? The
yeah.
people that aren't used to it are like hammers and shovels, and why are you telling your kids not to hit each other? Like, why would they even hit each other with it? I'm like, why would they not? That's the question. Excuse me. But as I was sitting there thinking, just and thinking and praying and just kind of alone with my thoughts. Well, not alone with my thoughts, but with the boys. And it just struck me that, man, Storehouse needs to lead the way in doing something and giving, or we need to figure out a way to do it, to do something. And so I thought quite a bit about that, and just it was just crazy because later last night, uh, you came up on Marco Polo and were like, hey man, I've been thinking like we should do something and we need to like think of ways to. And I'll just say, like, it was so encouraging to me because and I said my response back to you is, I don't know why this continues to surprise me, because stuff like that always happens, right? We're always like, hey, I was thinking about this thing. You're like, well, no, I was just going to call you about, and it always has to do with things of the faith aspect of our business and how we're going to do, do things from to serve, to serve our highest purpose and to really try to honor God through the business. And it happens all the time, but it was really cool. But all that being said, it was, that's what I'm talking about, that mindset piece. If you're always in that spot, then when something comes up, good, negative, whatever it is, your initial thoughts are going to be like, okay, how am I going to action this? How am I going to take advantage of this to honor God and to honor our investors and to move the business forward? And I think that's just an incredible thing. So
Yeah.
thank you, Stu, for having similar thoughts and
You're
being
welcome.
faithful to listen when I think God's kind of trying to tell us something.
You're welcome. So, I mean, it starts with really my amazing ideas, and then you just kind of follow up on some of them.
Yeah, usually it's weird because maybe because of the time difference, your amazing ideas hit me first because I'm 2 hours ahead. I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, speaking of time, I think last point we kind of wanted to talk about is so time is probably the most valuable thing that we have, and right now, while we're in this certain state of affairs of kind of being under lockdown, if you will, kind of being quarantined, trying to be social distancing. Those are kind of the key terms here. But what are you doing with your time, and how is your mindset helping you, be the most, take advantage of this time, right? I mean, for me, like, so in my Navy job, we've pretty much gone to teleworking. I'm checking email from home every single day. And for the most part, we have like kind of a shift going on right now where we'll have like one per department go in, and kind of be on that rotation. But for the most part, we've been teleworking. And so for me, like, man, I've spent way more time with my family, with my kids than I ever have in the past. And I mean, it's kind of glimpse to the future of what this looks like after we get out of the Navy. But um, man, it's been like I've just been like grateful, and I've just been getting to play dolls with my daughter and dress up and go ride bikes with him. And thankfully, it's been pretty nice outside. We just did get to 8 inches of new snow dumped on us, but it's still been nice. But just the time that I've been able to spend with my family has been like so awesome, and I've been so thankful for it. And but there's so much more that you can do, like while we're instead of living in scarcity and in fear, like what can we do to take action on to be positive and use this time wisely? Like there's been a lot of people talking about like just really getting in and focusing and working on our business. I was kind of starting to put more process and systems in place. I started doing some like video recordings of my process to where we can kind of have those set and then back up for when we start hiring people. Um, getting online and getting connected through, I went onto a webinar the other day that someone put on, and it was amazing. I learned so much about like how to use LinkedIn and get connected and social through LinkedIn and use that to your advantage. So, there's so much stuff that you can do right now and use your time in a positive manner. Um, that I think you should really jump into.
Yeah, I know that's awesome, and it's very similar. Have had a ton of family time, and I think what's really been highlighted too is attitude. You choose your attitude towards all these situations. I got an amazing lesson from my now 9-year-old daughter. She had a birthday yesterday, turned 9, and we've been having, for months, had this big party plan. All her, little girlfriends are going to come over. They were going to do a sleepover, potentially set up, tents and do just all kinds of, just fun stuff. And literally months has gone into planning this, and it just, it disappeared overnight. And dude, I'll tell you what, man, she was so focused on having an amazing birthday. Like not once did it come up. And in my mind, I'm like, as an adult as a someone who is not always faithful or abundance mindset, I was concerned about it. And we had an amazing day, and it culminated in a Zoom call that my wife set up that, it looked like Magic Squares or whatever that show was. There 25 of her little friends uh, popped up on a Zoom call, and it was mayhem. They're all talking to each other, and you couldn't even understand anything that was going on because all these kids are talking, and probably the first time they've been on Zoom. Well, actually, probably not. These kids are so technically savvy that they probably have their own Zoom accounts, but um, it was awesome. And then they all kind of stopped for a sec, and they all sang happy birthday. And man, she just was smile ear to ear. And it was just a beautiful moment. And the entire day was awesome. And not a single, like, I mean, she didn't, it literally did not even mention one time being disappointed. She just talked about what an amazing day that she had. That was a lesson in me in attitude. She chose to make it an amazing day. She had an amazing day. We can do the same. That's the power of attitude. We can, during this time, we can choose to do things that are growth, whether it's the stuff that you mentioned, reading books, business development, whatever it may be. And we can reach out to folks. We can Zoom. We can do different things to encourage people to choose a positive attitude, to choose to grow during this time. And I think with, all that being said, one of the things that we're looking at, kind of to wrap it up, is, we're taking the number of houses that we've sold, and we've been blessed to have, whatever it is, 50-ish different clients, and get all those addresses. And from Storehouse, give $200 per family to help them out during this time for some groceries. Maybe it's a gift card to the local grocery store, or whatever it may be, whatever that looks like. But that's something that we're thinking through, right? This is the culmination. This is the action piece of all the mindset stuff we're talking about. And with that, who says that we can't, through our network, get folks to give even more? And we set all that money aside and are practically helping people during this time of difficulty. And that's what it's all about. It's about taking that action and choosing that attitude, choosing the mindset, living in that mindset, embracing the faith, and pressing forward.
But I think maybe instead of singing every day, maybe we should just have you dance, do like live Facebook live streaming, hip hop dancing,
The problem with
to
that
raise
is that
money.
we'd raise too much money. Like we wouldn't know.
What is there a problem with that?
No, it's just I would feel bad to take advantage of people. Like when they see the moves, right? They're gonna want to give, and I don't want to take advantage of the. I've been blessed in certain ways, and I just don't want to take advantage of that.
Blessed in your dance moves.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, you know it.
All right, so think about that. If you guys want to see David dance every day to raise money to help out, our industry.
Or even better, if you want to pay money for Stu not to sing, that is probably equally as lucrative for the giving campaign.
All right. Well, we're hopefully this kind of hit home a little bit. Hope this gets you thinking a little bit more. Kind of working on that mindset while we're going through this period of transformation here. Hopefully that positive mindset leads to positive action. And yeah, hope you guys have an amazing week. Go take some action and go fill your storehouse.
Choose to make it a great day.
See ya.
Peace.